Or HOSLC, Mary Cosby celebrates son's long road to recovery. HOSLC star, Mary Cosby is celebrating her son's long road to recovery. Robert Cosby, Jr. had a very candid conversation with his mother about where he was at in his life. It was not a good situation, and he desperately needed help. Now, Mary is giving a very hopeful update, but what is she sharing? Key reading for more details. Mary Cosby celebrates son's long road to recovery. HOSLC fans have had mixed feelings about Mary Cosby. She married her step-grandfather, claiming that it was in her grandmother's will. Yet some will state that it was her grandmother's will. After that, she became the First Lady of the Faith Temple Pentecostal Church. There has been a lot of drama behind the church as Mary's estranged mother alleged it was a cult. Mary did leave the hit Bravo reality series after season 2, and for a period, she was just a friend. Now in season 5, Mary is back as a full-time cast member and fans love the shade. Regardless of her backstory, she is pure entertainment, and that is what viewers want. Then she became raw and real when her son, Robert Jr., shared that he was heavy into drugs and even contemplated suicide. Immediately, Mary did not rush to judgment and told him she would be there no matter what he needed. Robert ended up going to rehab, and then she headed to WHL with Andy Cohen to give an update. According to Reality T, things are going amazing. Not only did he go to rehab, but so did his wife, Alexiana, and she is still there continuing to get the help she needs. Mary Cosby shared that Robert is doing incredibly well amid his stint. She added that he came out a new person after a 30-day stay at the facility. Many commended how well she handled the conversation with her son, which was not planned. However, Mary and Robert hoped they could help someone else who was struggling. Fans love Mary. The honesty and transparency Mary Cosby and her son displayed were so heartwarming. REOSLC fans have nothing but love for them, and how candid they were. Mary's conversation with Robert is one of the best and realest moments in Bravo history. I love Mary even more now. I'll never forget how I bawled at 2 a.m. watching this episode. Sobbed from how beautifully she handled it. Mary, nothing but love for you and Robert. Mary and her son are brave to open up so deeply on camera because most people wouldn't. God bless him and his future. It was a crisp December morning in Salt Lake City, the kind where the snow glistened as if diamonds had been scattered across the mountains. Inside her opulent home, Mary Cosby bustled with a sense of urgency not often seen. Her son, Robert Jr., had finally reached a monumental milestone, a full recovery after a harrowing year of health struggles. This day was not just a celebration of his triumph, but also a testament to the unyielding bond of family. The living room sparkled with Mary's signature flair. Chandeliers twinkled, and gilded mirrors reflected the warm glow of dozens of candles. The air carried the scent of vanilla and cinnamon, courtesy of Mary's insistence on freshly baked pies for the occasion. Every detail spoke of her eclectic taste, a blend of grandeur and quirkiness that only Mary could pull off. As guests began arriving, Mary stood at the entrance, draped in a figure-hugging emerald green dress adorned with gold accents. She looked every bit the queen of her domain, but there was a softness in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Robert Jr., now 21, was at the center of it all. He had spent the better part of the year battling a rare autoimmune condition that had taken its toll physically and emotionally. Mary had kept much of the ordeal private, shielding her son from public scrutiny, while quietly rallying a team of specialists, healers, and prayer warriors. A mother's resilience. For Mary, the journey had been as much spiritual as it was medical. Her faith, always a cornerstone of her identity, had been tested in ways she never imagined. When you're a mother, Mary had told her closest confidant, Meredith Marks, during one of their intimate lunch dates, "You're willing to do anything. Pray harder, fight harder, believe harder." And that's exactly what she did. Late-night vigils in her prayer room became a routine. She even fasted for days, seeking divine intervention. There were moments, Mary confided, when I felt like I was losing him. But I also knew that God would not forsake us. Her unconventional methods raised eyebrows, especially among her fellow housewives. Lisa Barlow, ever the skeptic, had questioned Mary's reliance on spiritual remedies. "I think prayer is great, but sometimes you just need science," Lisa had said during one of their heated exchanges. But Mary wasn't deterred. In fact, her faith only deepened, and she made it her mission to blend the best of both worlds, medical science and spiritual healing. The turning point. The turning point came during a quiet summer evening when Robert Jr. mustered the strength to walk unaided for the first time in months. Mary had been sitting by his side, reading from the Psalms, when he suddenly stood up. Tears streamed down her face as she wrapped her arms around him, murmuring, "Thank you, Lord." From that moment on, his recovery accelerated. Physical therapy sessions became milestones to celebrate, and each small victory was met with Mary's characteristic exuberance. By autumn, Robert Jr. was not just walking but dancing, something he had always loved but feared he might never do again. The celebration. Now, as guests mingled in her home, the atmosphere was electric. Mary had invited only those closest to her, friends, family, and a few of her castmates. Meredith arrived in a sleek silver gown, bearing a crystal vase as a gift. Whitney Rose, ever the peacemaker, came with a heartfelt note for Robert Jr., while Heather Gay brought one of her signature charcuterie boards. Even Jen Shah had sent a bouquet of white roses from afar, a gesture that surprised everyone given her current legal troubles. "Say what you will about Jen," Mary said to Meredith with a sly smile, "but the woman knows how to pick flowers." The highlight of the evening was a speech by Robert Jr. himself. Standing tall and confident, he looked out at the crowd, his mother beaming at his side. "This year has been the hardest of my life," he began. "But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that love, real, unconditional love, can get you through anything. And my mom, she's the strongest person I know." Mary's eyes glistened with tears as she embraced her son. The room erupted in applause, a moment of unity that transcended the petty squabbles and drama that often defined their social circle. Reflections. Later that night, after the last guest had left and the house was quiet, Mary found herself sitting alone in her prayer room. The candles flickered, casting a warm glow on her face. She clasped her hands together, whispering a prayer of gratitude. In that moment, she wasn't Mary Cosby, the eccentric and often misunderstood housewife. She was simply a mother who had fought tooth and nail for her child, who had faced her fears and come out stronger on the other side. As she closed her eyes, a sense of peace washed over her. The road ahead was still uncertain, life always was, but for now she had everything she needed, and that was enough.